I keep calling this movie Karate Kid Generations because of how it's laid out, like Sonic Generations. That's the joke. So, I saw Karate Kid Legends the other day. It's actually been a while because I was sick and I couldn't really get to this review until now, but I want to talk about it. I recently watched the first Karate Kid movie and the new one with Jackie Chan, and this movie was yet again another origin story of a karate kid, even though this new one is learning Kung Fu, but whatever. It is essentially the movie that has the old and new put together and teaching a new generation. You know, it was fine. You know, there's some problems, and I'll talk about it. First things first, I'm about to start talking about How to Train Your Dragon, but if you've seen Karate Kid, you know, the old one, and if you've seen the new one, you kind of saw the new one. But not really. Essentially, the new Karate Kid takes the same, you know, story format of the old Karate Kid movies and, like, use them to make this new one. But they at least do new things with this new film. There's new plot points and new stories. There's side stories with this one. So at the very least, the story is slightly unique and different and doesn't follow the same beating path as the last two movies did. I don't think that was a super serious problem because at the time, remakes and rehashing of movies wasn't that common. And in fact, if anything, it was kind of seen as a cool thing to, like, kind of do the same thing again. But obviously, with live action remakes, that has completely ruined the game for animated movies. But, you know, at this point, I'm willing to be okay with it for the Karate Kid. As long as the story is unique and slightly different and, you know, changes things up a good amount, I don't mind if they use the same format of an old story to tell a new story. It's what you do with it, kids, and that's important. So let's start with the story. This takes place in the modern era, and by that I mean 2025. But before that, we get told a little story that shows the connection that is the Miyagi family and the Han family. But after that, we cut back to the present. We see Mr. Han, played by Jackie Chan, as usual. He now has a dojo, and he is teaching plenty of students, and he's teaching them the jacket on, jacket off. So Drake has changed this man's life for the good, and now he's, you know, training a bunch of people, including his great nephew, Li Fong. But all of a sudden, Lee's mom comes up to Lee and is like, hey, we're going to go to America, New York, baby. Let's get out of here. And Lee, of course, has to accept that. And so begins the Karate Kid story. Li Fong knew a little bit of karate, but it didn't seem like he was interested in it. But yeah, that starts the whole plot. And then, yeah, honestly, I'm going to be saying this in my other video. If you've seen the Karate Kid movies, you probably know what's going to happen next. Lee does eventually meet up with a new girl. And with this new girl comes ex-boyfriend problems, and they, you know, end up crossing paths multiple times. The kid is even fighting him in public school grounds, and it's way more apparent that this kid should probably be in juvie or some type of, I don't know, jail, some cell, I don't know. But yeah, the new bully in this movie, while he's not the best, and Johnny is probably the best bully character out of all three of them, he is definitely the craziest. And of course, with those two butting heads so much, they eventually decide to settle their beef in the Five Boroughs Tournament, which is where they will fight on top of a skyscraper. The story, like I said before, they do a good job with adding new plot lines into it, but the main thing I want to talk about really is the pacing. I cannot believe this movie got me in the beginning, because when I watched this movie, I came in knowing that, oh, a lot of people said this movie was mid and wasn't that good, but the first 30 to 40 minutes of this film, right to where a certain character gets beat the hell up, you know who he is, you'll know. After that, this movie takes so much crack and cocaine and meth at the same time and starts sprinting. Man, does the pacing of this story get so crazy and so fast. By the time this movie was over, I was blown at how fast the movie was going. It was going so fast, and I really hated that. I really hate that modern movies has to keep kids' attention by making the movie as fast as humanly possible. It's just a sign of a bad editor, which, go figure, I've been ranting about editors for the past, 5 movies at this point. So yeah, editors, fire them. That's all I'm gonna say. Pacing is way too fast. It's way too much. It's really bad. Other than that, there was even times, and it's a shame they only did this twice, maybe 3 times. There was actually animated segments that looked really cool, but they were so short and so limited, and it's like, what the fuck? Did you guys run out of time? Which overall, I said that at the end of this film, this movie just needed more fucking time in the oven. This movie should not have released this year. It just needed to draw this movie's runtime just needed to be longer, really. I would have liked it so much better if that was the case. The acting was serviceable, but really, this movie franchise has always been kind of goofy, so the acting isn't like something that really like takes too seriously. Mr. Han, played by Jackie Chan, is a completely different character now. He's way more happy and energetic, and he's full of life. And again, shout out to Jaden Smith's character, Dre, who I will have a decent talk about later. But yeah, Jackie Chan did a fine job. Sadly, the actor who played Mr. Miyagi has passed away, but Ralph Macchio, playing Daniel LaRusso, is still fine and healthy and, well, alive, and he reprises his role because he, of course, comes to help Lee with his fighting tournaments. Lee is played by Ben Wang, and, you know, he did a decent job. I don't think, you know, I haven't really seen him in much, and I know he's in that new Stephen King movie that I saw a trailer for about The Long Walk. I'm pretty sure that was him in it, or maybe I'm just stupid, but he did a fine job. The love interest, Mia, is played by Sadie Stanley, and I don't really think I've seen her anything else, and she's just a mid-actor, or actress, I should say. And of course, there's her dad, played by Joshua Jackson, who was did a fine job. There really wasn't anything special about it. And then the bully character, played by Aramis Knight, playing Connor Day, he was very interesting as well. Though I think he loved his role a little bit too much. He definitely performed his role, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he didn't do a bad job. The main character always has this like friend character that they meet early on that doesn't really do much in the last two movies, but this new character, Alan, played by Wyatt Oliff, I feel like I've seen him in other things. Oh, he was in It Chapter 2 as well as Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so yeah, I have seen him in other stuff. He just did a fine job. He really wasn't even in the movie that much. He had some comedic moments here and there, which I appreciated, but that's about it. Also, Lee's mom is played by Ming Na Wen, and I pray that I am saying that correctly. She did an okay job, you know, being the protective mother, but that's about it. Acting was just fine. I don't know who did the best, but, you know, like I said, doesn't really matter. Now, the characters themselves, man, and this has something to do with the writing. I just can't stand the love interest character in this film. So in this film, Mia's dad is a character who owns a pizzeria shop, and he has issues with this gym that trains Connor Day, and he owes money to them. They eventually decide, oh, my dad's going to enter a boxing ring, and so he can win some money and pay off his debt. Eventually, it all works out because he's getting trained by Ling, who knows some martial arts. Before this fight after the fight happens, I don't want to say what happens, but after the fight, Mia gets so offended by Ling for freaking out because of what he saw, and Lee has a very tragic backstory, and he kind of got reminded of it when he saw this fight, and Mia just gets mad at him and starts attacking him for basically suffering from PTSD. It is just shocking that this character blamed him for so much, even though her dad is the one who asked for all of this. And she also, because in the movies, the love interest is never into the bully because they're like broken up or like not dating anymore. In this movie, she flirts with him in front of Lee. Now, Lee wasn't seen by Mia. Mia didn't know Lee was there, but she still does it. And then like the next scene later, she was like, you didn't see what happened after. I was actually not having a good time, even though I was laughing and smiling with the bully who assaulted you and gave you a black eye. Fuck this character, honestly. By far the worst love interest character of all the three. The bully character was very extreme. I've said it before, and I think the actor just loved his role a little bit too much. He was a menace to be fucking dealt with. I don't know if he was like in a competition to be the best bully character out of the three, but he did his very best, but he sadly is taking second place on this. I definitely say that Johnny is the best bully, and whoever that kid was from the Jackie Chan one was just like, who the fuck is he? He's just a little pipsqueak. Lee's character is very interesting because of his backstory and him having, you know, unique story that isn't like the last two movies. I would like to see where this story goes. I'm assuming they want to make another Karate Kids Legends movie, and that's because I might as well just talk about it right now. I feel like there's a lot more space where this movie can go if they decide to make a sequel, because shocker, I mean, it may not be a shock to anyone else, but if you've seen the trailers and looked online, you may have noticed Jaden Smith is not in this film at all. And watching this movie, I told myself, okay, maybe Jaden Smith will be mentioned somewhere, because I didn't see him in the trailers at all, and I understand it because they just want to have two teachers from two different eras to like teach the new kid some stuff and beat his bully and whatnot, but we didn't get to see Jaden Smith at all, and I'm just gonna say it, I think that was kind of a bad decision. Now, I'm not a Jaden Smith fan. I know this man does like music, and I know he was at the Met Gala like a while ago. I don't really know what he does in life. I mean, maybe he does acting on the side, because I think I heard him acting somewhere, and I don't know if he was busy or if he declined it, but based on what I read from interviews, the director just didn't want him in the movie at all and didn't even consider him. And I don't understand why. The reason I'm simping and defending this is because Jaden Smith was such an important character to Mr. Han. He essentially changed his life, and he essentially like pioneered the whole jacket on, jacket off method that his new students are using. Lee even does the whole jacket on, jacket off method. It's really funny saying jacket on, jacket off, but yeah, you get the idea. You know what I mean. I don't know why Jaden Smith wasn't mentioned at all. And then in the interviews that I saw, or like the articles from what I read, they said they just didn't feel like he fitted the role. Jaden Smith is like, what, in his late 20s? I think he's like a year younger than me. Hold up. Yeah, he's 26 years old. So like, what? He wasn't too old. He's not too young. Is it because this movie took place like 15 years later and they just didn't want a middle-aged man teaching this other kid karate, or kung fu, but it was okay for Daniel and Mr. Han to teach him kung fu? If anything, Lee would have been closer to Jaden Smith's age, and if anything, he probably would have been a more relatable teacher, because they all do the same, like, oh, these guys, what are they teaching me? These guys are crazy. I don't know. Lee already knows some kung fu, so he already trusts Jesus Christ, Mr. Han and LaRusso. So there's not really a moment where he's like, oh, what are they teaching me? But like I said, I'm not a big Jaden Smith fan. I just really, really wish he was in this movie, or at least mentioned, or at least show a picture of him. They didn't even show a picture of him. Like, it's like he never existed. And it's a shame, because his character is so important. So I mentioned it earlier. If they decide to continue the story, Karate Kid Legends 2, my guess is maybe they're going to consider Jaden Smith to teach him some new stuff, because it seems that maybe Jaden Smith was like going to be continuing his journey in karate or kung fu. I'm going to keep saying that. Karate, kung fu, you know what I mean. It seems like Dre is going to continue his journey, and maybe he'll teach that to Lee. And I'm just going to say it. I think that would be fucking awesome. I would love to see an older Dre, played by Jaden Smith, teaching Lee some new stuff. I think it's just amazing plot point. I don't know. It's not like it's not the most creative, but still, I think it's going to be very interesting. And like I said, it's possible Jaden Smith didn't care. It's possible the director just didn't care. I've said it before, like, Jaden Smith should have been mentioned at least once or somewhere. It's just a shame. But yeah, now that I'm done ranting about the characters and acting, music was pretty good. There were some good music choices. Some of it was kind of cheesy, like, oh, we're just gonna play some pop music and hype music at these moments here and there, and at the end it was very cheesy. But really, Karate Kid's soundtracks has always been cheesy, so nothing new there. The fight scenes and camera work were pretty good, honestly, because those two kind of go hand in hand with the action. They actually had camera movement that were still, it wasn't very shaky, and yeah, I really enjoyed them. I wish some of the fights lasted a little bit longer, but that's just me. But we got to keep this movie going. We got to keep the pacing going. I liked the setting that they went for in New York. I think it looked pretty vibrant, pretty fun to be at. I really liked just what this movie did and what this New York style and art design they decided to go with. It was just really good, really good setting. Really nice lighting in certain areas and really good camera shots here and there. No real crazy errors or anything like that. This movie kind of just copies the same like story and message and meaning. There's just not really much to talk about in that area, really. So I'm gonna talk about the spoilers, but it's not really much. I mean, there's stuff, but I'll talk about them. If you don't want to get spoiled on anything, just skip to this time right here. But again, it's not gonna be that much. But yeah. So, spoilers, the real big thing that was changed was how this movie went about the tournament and why they're doing the tournament. So I mentioned before, Mia's father is this pizza guy. He used to be this boxer who was real good at it, but he just started a family and he just wanted to settle down, which is understandable. But he got himself into some debt with a nearby gym. And one night he was throwing stuff away and Lee helped protect him. And the father was like, oh, wow, you're good at Kung Fu. You should help me fight. And I'm thinking about joining this tournament so I can get some money and pay off those thugs. And Lee doesn't really want to do this at first, but he still decides to do it. So his backstory is told in flashbacks, and we get to see that he had a relationship with his big brother who taught him this really cool move about, like, it was like the dragon kick or flip or something like that. I'm just going to call it the dragon kick. But one night after winning a tournament, his older brother won a tournament and he was jumped by some thugs and he ended up dead. And this traumatized Lee so much to the point where he almost wanted to give up Kung Fu, but he instead decided to just give up fighting. But he still did Kung Fu lessons. It's just really whatever. So him being like asked to, help train someone, he's kind of not okay with it, but he eventually eases into it because he's just trying to oppress Mia. And when the fight starts, the dad is beating this other guy's ass. All of his training is paying off. The like 1-inch finger punch really helped out and everything. And then he gets his ass fucking beat because the guy he fought against was fucking cheating, and he got put into a hospital. And I don't know why he didn't just win the fight. They don't really say that's what happened. Maybe it is, but I don't know. But he gets his ass beat, and then Lee is traumatized again. This is where I was like talking about how Mia's like mad at him for getting traumatized. So he then decides to enter the tournament. Jackie Chan encourages him, which, by the way, Jackie Chan fast travels in this movie like at an instance. He just is in the next city and area like instantly when it's needed. But he helps encourage Lee to enter the Five Boroughs tournament, and he helps train him, but he's also getting help from Daniel all the way in California, and he comes to help train. And then this is when the tournament starts. So along with the pacing being so fucking fast, the tournament interweaves through the second half of this movie. Like, the first fight that Lee has takes place and it's over, then his next fight is like in the next few days. So the way this movie structures is he is doing a tournament throughout his training, and there's a lot to say about it. It is what it is. They tried something new, but I just wish the pacing wasn't so awful. But other than that, there was times where they referenced the video games. I almost think this movie was meant to somewhat market Mortal Kombat 8. After all that, Lee made up with Mia, and they're now dating officially, and the tournament's starting against Connor and Lee. And yeah, I mean, again, this is the spoiler section. Do I really need to explain who wins? Of course Connor fucking wins. He beats his ass. Like, Lee tries to do the dragon kick and it fucking fails. He gets his ass beat in front of everybody. Oh, wrong script. Yeah, of course Lee wins. He does the dragon kick. He's been practicing it and tries a new method of the dragon kick to catch Connor off and really win against him. And yeah, like I said, he just wins, really. And they do the thing where the bully respects the main character, but I was like, bro, this guy assaulted you twice. Fuck this guy. So yeah, Lee wins. The music starts playing some cheesy song. I forgot what it was. And then roll credits. That's it. Yeah, there's not really much to talk about. This movie was okay. And, I love the Karate Kid as a movie franchise. They're pretty enjoyable. My only thing with this movie, I really wish the pacing and the plot points were just better. It could have been a decent movie. And I really wish they would have paid homage to Dre or Jaden Smith's character in some way or form, but sadly that did not happen. Who knows if there'll be a second? I don't know. I don't think this movie is doing the best right now, but I think it's doing fine. A lot of movies are coming out in this summertime, so it's got some tough competition, so it not receiving the biggest scores or well-received scores is not helping it. I don't think this is like the worst movie ever, obviously. If you like the Karate Kid franchise, I think you will enjoy this, but don't expect like a crazy remake or retelling of a new story. It's just kind of slightly above average, and with that, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Very fair score in my opinion, but yeah, that's what I give it, and that's really all I want to talk about. Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. You all have a nice one.